All right, guys. So for the past couple of days, I've been sharing the concept that I've learned recently about leadership, and I've shared it in Swahili. So this time I'm gonna share in English so that you guys may understand. Those who do not understand Swahili. So basically, the idea is leadership. A true leadership is like a bridge, right? So leadership is a bridge. And the story comes from the book of Joshua, chapter 3 and 4. This was the time when the children of Israelite, they already moved from Egypt. They crossed over the desert, and they were about to enter to the promised land. And at that very moment, Moses died, and the only assistant of Moses, called Joshua, he actually picked up the baton to take the children of Israel from the desert and to enter to the promised land. But at this time, they were actually at the transition. So at this border, you find the River Jordan. River Jordan was there, and it was actually separating between the promised land and the desert where they came from. And at this time, everybody was kind of like freaking out, right? They did not know what to do. Because their only hope, I mean, they had hope in the Lord, but then Moses, he was kind of like, he took them out from slavery. So you can only understand how these people were lost at this point, because they see like, okay, our leader is no more here. I always compare with our forefathers who brought us from colonialism and gave us independence. You know, when they died, you know how Africa was, right? When I remember J.K. Nyerere or Kwame Nkrumah or Sankara and other leaders, you know, across the continent of Africa, you know, how Africans are reacting towards that, right? You kind of feel like the hope is gone. So this was that moment for the children of Israel. They're looking forward. They see the River Jordan. They can't cross it. They've been in the desert for 40 years. They've been in Egypt for over 400 years. So they have been slaves for so long time. And now they're about to cross over to the other countries to actually have their lives and to inherit the promised land. And they find this huge resistance. So these are kind of direction that God gave to Joshua. He told him that, hey, you have to pick up the priests. Priests, they have to go before all the children of Israel, before the whole nation, and they need to hold the Ark of Covenant. And the moment they step into the water, you know, the water will be divided, right? So they pick up the Ark of Covenant. They went straight to the water. They stood there. Like, remember, the Jordan River, it was actually the transition place between the desert and as well as the promised land, Canaan, right? So they had to, the instruction was like they had to stand at the middle of Jordan River, and of course the water got separated, and you know, it went on the left side and right side, and they were standing there holding the covenant, the Ark of Covenant. I mean, the research says it was like more than 100,000 children of Israel. They had to cross over to the other side, and it really depends on how these elders and how these priests hold this Ark of Covenant. Ark of Covenant was kind of like the metaphor, or the metaphor of the presence of God. That the presence of God was there with them, so they had to hold it, to stand there for all the children of Israel to cross over to the other side. And of course, the scripture says, I think in the book of Joshua 3, the last verse, it says, I think it's 27, it said that they had to hold there for the all nation to cross by. So they actually managed to cross by. But mind you, it was not just people crossing by, right? More than 100,000 people, they're crossing with their animals, they're crossing with their luggages, they're crossing with everything they had. So this process, it did not take one day, it did not take 2 days, it did not take a couple hours, but it took a long time. And these guys, they had to stand there still. The scripture says they stood firm. Priests stood firm at the middle of the river so that everybody could cross over the other side. And the entire nation, actually moved from the desert, and it went all the way to the promised land. So why do I say leadership is the bridge? Because here you see these faithful leaders who actually knew what they were doing. They did not even know the results, but they were actually just following the commandments to stand there in between for the whole nation to cross over. So this is the picture of leadership. A leader, when you become a leader, you're actually standing in between. It's like a transition period. Actually, you're carrying over, you are taking these people from the place where they are, you're bringing them to the new vision, new dimension, new era, new country, new levels, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're there at the transition. But what we don't think about, how hard it is to stand there in the transition. So leaders often carry pressures that nobody sees. Remain standing longer than anybody else. Like you are there, you're the first person to get there, and you're the last person to leave after everybody is secured. Hold their positions while everyone else advanced. That is the duty of leaders. It is the work that leaders are supposed to do. So what you see is going on in the continent of Africa, in South Africa, in different parts of the continent. It is because when we lose our position as leaders, people get panic. When we lose our position as leader and when we don't stand firm, people will be killed. The chaos will happen. Why? Because we're not standing faithfully in our position as a bridge that, bridge, literally people step on the bridge to the other side. And oftentimes we don't thank the bridge. Thank you, bridge, you helped me to cross from this side to another side. We don't even remember about it. We just cross over. We just step on the bridge. And this is the metaphor of leaders. That leader, you are not there for yourself, but you're there to make sure that these people get to the other side peacefully, get to the other side safe. You are there, you're willing to lay down your life. You're there, willing to stand firm, sweating all. Imagine standing there for 1 day, 2 days, holding the Ark of Covenant still for the entire country, for the entire nation to cross over. That's not an easy job. That's not about the title. That's not about the position. That's not about the prestige. That is the hard work. That is about servanthood. Standing there, giving yourself away for the entire people to cross over to the other side. Leadership is not easy. And this concept we need to understand, especially in Africa, because only in Africa leadership, in other parts of the world as well, I cannot be too hard on Africa. Leadership right now in this world, it's all about prestige. You're the last one to arrive, the first one to leave, right? No more about accountabilities. Everything you do, you want to be clapped on because you have done what you're supposed to do. Leadership, you basically put other people's life first before your life. You are giving yourself as a sacrifice for the sake of the nation, for the sake of the organization, for the sake of those who you lead, because their lives depend on you. Their stability, their peace depends on you. A leader becomes a bridge between where people are and where they are meant to be, where they are right now and where they're meant to be. So if you don't have vision, if you don't have God, how are you going to guide these people? How are you going to lead these people to their destinies? Because these people, they depend on you and they have to reach to their destinies, and it depends on you. Real leaders stand in difficult places so others can move forward with confidence. Their stability creates safety for others. Their obedience creates direction for a generation. So you are there standing, you're there working, you're there working your battle to make sure that the destinies of this generation and even the future generation depends on you. So there's some other decisions you're going to make, not because you love them, but it is for the sake of the nation, for the sake of those who you lead. You know what I'm saying? It might be even hard on you, but you're looking at the bigger picture of where do I want these people to go? Or how do I want to be remembered? Because most of the time we forget that one day we're going to be out of those positions, and your generations, your family and generation to come, there might be disregard because of what you've done. You can actually ruin the reputation of your entire clan simply because of the decision you make today. Leadership is becoming a bridge that can safely walk across. Leadership is not simply an influence. It is more than that. It is more than that. We need to reach to a point where we can care. We need to reach to a point where we can lay down our lives. We need to get to the point where we're not going to run to leadership. But when we hear about leadership, we are asking ourselves twice, is this what I can do? Am I really ready to do this? Am I really ready to lay down my life for these people? It is not easy. True leadership is standing in the middle of the storm long enough for others to cross safely, and especially in our context. Leadership is not about getting ahead of people. It is becoming the bridge that helps others cross into their destiny. That's all about leadership, man. You're holding the destinies of those who you lead. People believe in you. People trust in you. People, they give their life for you, right? And the only thing you can do as a response it is to stand in between in the time of transition and to lead them safely. A true leader is a bridge, strong enough to carry the weight of others while helping them reach to the other side. Some leaders shine in comfort, real leaders stand in difficult places and become bridges for others to move forward. So the concept is this: if you forget about everything, remember this. I gave them an example about Joshua and those priests who stand in between, for you to remember that the safety of the entire nation, it depends on the obedience and accountability and standing firm. Leadership is all about bridge. You're helping others to cross to the other side freely without any cares while you're experiencing hardship, while you are the one going through hell at that moment. But the people you lead, they'll move and cross over to the other side peacefully, because somebody is standing between in the transition to make sure that the entire country or the entire organization crossing freely. So let me know in the comment section what you think about this concept of leadership as a bridge, and I'll be glad to read your comments. God bless.